Hey guys, it's DuConrad1 and welcome back to yet another episode of Chateau de Lumière. Unfortunately today we have no replays to show. There has been a long time between the last episode that I have made and the current one. And because of that, there is some discrepancies in the replay mod files and also some technical issues on top of that. So sadly, I do not have any replays. All the replays that were for this episode have been bugged and are unusable. But I'm fairly certain I have it fixed now. So for our future episodes, they're going to be fixed. And we're going to have some great episodes coming up where we actually have the replays. And again, I apologize. I know at the beginning of this series I said that everything would be shown on screen, but unfortunately this isn't really my fault. This is just some technical issues that occurred and I really had no control over it. But one way or the other, I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode and find out something interesting that might help you in your building endeavors. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I just want to make a quick interjection here and say that if you guys see anything on this episode that particularly piques your interest and you want to see it built, fortunately, I had streamed pretty much everything that you see for this episode, the fields, the surrounding atmosphere, and the Great Hall, etc. And if you want to watch any of those streams, all you need to do is go ahead and go to the description below, and I'm going to post all the streams that I had done for this episode and then what those streams involve. That way you can just pick and choose what you want to watch, what you want to see, etc. and so on. And I think that you'll even get a better learning experience from watching me build firsthand. Again, I apologize for no replays, but I hope that the streams will be a sufficient alternative. And in any case, let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, we're going with a very Witcher type atmosphere. It's very clear, as you can see by the festive sort of things that are going on, the colors. If you guys are familiar with Witcher 3, by the way, if you guys haven't played it, play it. Great game. Witcher 3 that has an expansion called Blood and Wine. Definitely worth checking out. And it has one of the main... it's actually one of the main reasons why I was inspired to do this build in the first place. But besides that, it's very colorful. The developers of Blood and Wine wanted to make sure that there was color, just vibrant color and life just blasted at you. Like right when you join the game, like right when you join the world, like you're just like, wow, like just look how bright and beautiful this is. And it really hits you in a very certain, it hits you in the feels. And it is something that I personally really like about environments. I like bright and lively environments. That's something that I really like about stuff like this. It's just beautiful, and it really adds so much to an atmosphere. So, but yeah, as you can see, the little flags going across the road. We have like the little banner here. I got to remake the banners because of issues. We also have these here, these little festive, what do you call these? I don't even know what these are called. Little festive things that are hanging from the tree that go to the fence posts on either side. We have, of course, the cherry tree that's in the center, and on the trunk of the cherry tree, we have a bunch of messages to sort of indicate that this is some sort of like main area where people would travel through, and it kind of makes sense. It's on an intersection between 3 points. We go right, that takes us to the fields. Also, that's the chandelier over there, and other houses are going to be over there eventually. If you go left, that takes you to the tourney grounds, which are going to be right there. The windmill, of course, and then, of course, takes you right up to the castle if you follow it long enough. And then if you go this way, it leads off the plot to the west of the Sunderlands. By the way, Chateau de Lumière is built in the Sunderlands of my quote-unquote mythical, or not mythical, fantasy world, whatever. It's not really developed or anything. It's just my idea of where it would be. So that's a little tidbit of information. Hopefully you guys, whatever. Anyways, this right here is a stream. I really like the atmosphere of this. I wanted to somewhat match the atmosphere that we have over here. As you can see, the creek is just very overgrown, and I wanted to continue that feel over here on the stream. It's very realistic to have just plants just overhanging the water and just making it feel very overgrown. I do want to add some sticks in here and things of that sort to indicate like just a bunch of just random crap just kind of flowing down, and you know, that's kind of what I want to go for. And yeah, so the next thing I want to show you is, you'll notice that I capped all the walls along the main road with this new brick that we have in the model. Well, not a new brick, but it's what is that, orange red brick slab. Something that I really like. I think it really adds to the atmosphere. I also used it for the feast hall chimney. We'll get to that later on, of course, but I really like the color. It works so well with the intended style and overall atmosphere of the area. So really super excited for that. But yeah, the festive feel just really attributes to the what's going on currently on this plot. Is there's a marriage celebrations, perhaps for one of the prince, like maybe the daughter of the lord that lives here is getting married, and they're holding a massive celebration. So that's why there's the tournament going on, like first hand, or like combat between knights. And then there's also that over there, which is where one of the knights stays. I'm gonna add like camps of where other knights will stay across the plot to indicate more of the story that's occurring currently. So we have a sweetgrass field here. We have potatoes. Now I know potatoes are not authentically European. I know that they were introduced at sort of a later century than the medieval period. However, we're not specifically going for medieval period, not historical accuracy. We're going for a little bit more, just having a little bit of a creative freedom is just something that I like. And that's why I really like things like The Witcher. And that's why I think that games like For Honor and not For Honor, Kingdom Come Deliverance, very realistic games, just they won't really ever match up to the games like The Witcher, because the fantasy aspect does something special for me, and the added environment just really does a lot. And I think that is really important when you're building. Now, certain people do really well with building realistically, and that's great. It's just I like the creative freedom, and also I don't like doing all the research. Big reason. So we're gonna move on to, next is an open field. You'll ask why we have an open field. Why is there nothing planted there? So the reason why, again, we're just brushing the sidelines of realistic and historically accurate. But realistically, fields would require a certain amount of time to revitalize their soil, because all the plants that are on here, that takes a lot of minerals out of the soil. It sucks pretty much the soil just dry, metaphorically speaking, of minerals. It takes pretty much everything out of it. And if you just keep doing that, it basically makes the field unproductive. And if you make the field unproductive, then you can't grow anything on it. So every 7 years approximately, sometimes I think 3 or 7 years, they would rest fields, and then they would interchange that between other fields each year, so that there's always something growing, so that they don't, maybe if they had all these fields planted, and then 7 years would come, and then literally everything they planted, all these fields would just be growing sparsely. And we don't want that. We want to try to keep things growing as much as possible. So anyways, that's why I did that, the open field there, because minerals would seep back in and revitalize the soil. This right here is a wheat field with a really derpy looking scarecrow in the middle. Another thing I like to do with wheat fields is add paths through them so that the farmers can access all the areas of the field instead of trampling through the wheat or whatever. Having trails just really is a good idea, especially when you have organic fields like this. Sometimes if you have grid-like fields, it's a little bit easier to just walk down the rows, but I like to do organic fields like this. It just makes it a little bit better. Right here we have a peas field. Peas were a pretty authentic European crop. We have some lavender over here. Lavender is really I mean, this is pretty much the best way you can represent it in Minecraft, but you got some of this nakbenkrot and some lilacs and also some birch leaves. I like to make it a little bit bushy, but I think that makes it a little bit, bushy and just makes it look nice. So I like how that lavender field turned out with some mud for the rows and some little dirt paths for the other things. So yeah, and then we have another peace field over here, another open field. Again, it's crop rotation, a little little blackberry patch over here. Some berries is pretty good, maybe for drinks or even desserts, things like that. Sweet is always a pretty good thing. I like sweet things, so during the medieval ages, you'd jump on really anything that's sweet because that'd be a rarity. Because usually you'd just be eating bread, meat, and on a rare occasion, meat, and on even a rarer occasion, fruit and sweet things. It'd just be kind of added, a bonus. This right here is a boulder that has rolled down from the side of the cliff here. It indicates erosion and also creativity. I wanted to add some kind of like a thing on it. So I'm just, maybe there's an author sitting on here writing a book or something, or writing a journal. Who knows? I just had that idea and I thought that was a good idea. And amongst a cabbage patch at that. So right here, again, I want to indicate erosion. So all the water from this side of the castle would have to flow somewhere. So we have made like a little trench going down this way that leads into the creek. And then there's a bridge leading across from one side of the path to the other, so that carts and people can travel easily across. Also, I really like this idea, having little lamps and things along the road, little barrier fences against the sides so carts and things don't fall off. Also, another really important thing that I really want to make a point on is, as you can see, we've been doing some hand terraforming, adding in some rock formations and just raising the terrain in certain areas and trying to make it just seem a little bit more variated. For example, if we just kept the terrain flat like this, just like how boring that is. It just makes you like cringe at how boring that is. But by doing this, adding in the rock formations and things of that sort, not only does it make the terrain look more natural, but it's more pleasing to the eye. There's a lot going on, yes, but that a lot going on adds just so much more atmosphere to the build in general. Also, once we add in a lot more foliation and stuff like that, it's going to really look nice. So super excited to continue this build and finish up the atmosphere surrounding, because that is going to be a dope once we finally get that done. We didn't really do anything on this region over here. This is all pretty much exactly how it was. We'll probably be doing a little bit of that, and well, obviously we'll be finishing that in future episodes, but for right now, that's just kind of how that is. The 20 grounds, all this hasn't really been touched. So a couple other things that I really want to show you guys is this over here. I'm sure this is something that you guys will like to see. I have a place where the knight, one of the knights that is participating in the tournament that's going on currently would be, and also his squire. The squire is the guy that would take care of him, would cook the meat, would do his laundry, would feed and clean the horse dung out, clean the chamber pot, change the bed sheets, whatever needs to be done, the squire would take care of, and the knight just kind of lazily walks around and keeps himself fit for fighting and things like that. So anyways, we got looks like a little what are these things called again? Amphora. A little amphora of wine, some cheese. Wine and cheese is usually a pretty good combination. Some meat being cooked, maybe provided from the butcher of Chateau de Lumière. For example, the butcher is like right there. That's where we're gonna have some pigs over there, and other things of that sort. So I just really like that idea. I thought it would be a good idea to have just camps just surrounding all over the plot. We're gonna be adding some more of that later on. Of course, we added a few more of these trees. These aren't like any specific type of tree. You can just kind of whatever you want to do. Like I said, I'm not big into doing a lot of research, so it's just kind of building whatever looks good. We got a little hawk nest over here. Got a hawk. He's behind the bushes so that the knight doesn't, or the knight and squire don't bother him. And we got the little hawk nest down there on the side of the cliff. Really nice place for a nest, I think. I really like this area. I think that was a great idea to put there. Also, another thing, again, we go back to erosion, try to keep that in mind, but the water that would come down through here would just sort of flow down along the path. As you see, it digs into the path, and then it goes down through here and into the creek again. So just, again, keep erosion in mind. Up here, we have a painting where a painter is painting the beautiful picture of Chateau de Lumière. Now, I did get this idea from Witcher, if you guys were wondering. I definitely, you guys, a lot of you will catch this reference. But yes, I did get that from there. Let me just sort of explain a few things around it. For example, we got arrows for brushes. We have a food plate for pastels. We have a little owl friend, a bottle of wine, and a flower pot full of water, or a pot of water to clean his brushes out, and then a few things just to sort of carry his supplies back to the keep. In fact, I should probably make this into a bag. But anyways, now that we're on the subject of a painting, I want to sort of compare an actual painting to what we're doing right now. Building on a plot specifically is pretty much one-on-one with painting a painting. So let's sort of explain that a little bit. What am I trying to say? When you're painting something, you need to make a focal point. The focal point here is Chateau de Lumière. And what we want to do is we want to keep the focal point the focal point. And you want your eyes to spread, but you don't want your eyes to go off the picture. You want to draw the observer to the picture and not off the picture. So how do we do that and apply that to Minecraft? What we want to do is enclose the plot as best we can, naturally and artificially, whatever needs to be done, so that the surrounding plots are as covered, or as as not visible as possible, is what I'm trying to say, for lack of better words. But we don't want to see, once people start building around Lumiere, we don't want to see all of that. And the only way to do that is to build trees and things of that sort without making like a massive wall going all the way up the sides of the plots, because that would be really ugly. But we want to draw the eye inwards. Now, of course, when you're actually at the focal point and you look out, you're not going to be able to do anything about how that looks. However, when you're walking around the plot and the paths and everything, try to specifically build up the terrain. Like, that's why I did that there, is once we build trees on top of that, it's going to really do just a whole lot to cover up the plots behind. And it's going to really cover that area. So keep that in mind when you're building. Always try to cover up the ugly stuff surrounding, so that your central focal point doesn't get lost to the ugly. Because unfortunately, that's just how our eyes are attracted. It's attracted more to the ugly stuff than it is to the beautiful stuff. That's why whenever something good happens, you never really say, you'll say great job or something like that, but you're more likely to catch somebody for something bad they did versus something good they did. And it's the same thing applies for, ugly stuff to beautiful stuff, etc. And, when I say ugly stuff, unfinished builds and towers and crap just all around Lumiere. So I'm just trying to get that point across is, yeah. So anyways, this over here is a sunflower field. I really liked that idea, and also really paints a picture for Lumiere because it's the castle of light. So having these sunflowers here, I think, was a really good idea. This is actually an idea from Uminum, was to plant sunflowers. I wasn't going to originally, but I thought it was a good idea. We also add a little bit of hemp inside. It's not hemp. It's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, just stalks of the sunflowers that haven't bloomed yet, I guess. And we added that in rows, as you can see, with little paths on the inside in between each of the rows. And I thought that was a pretty good idea to add in here. Another wheat field over here with a scarecrow with a crow on it. How ironic is that? And let's see, is there any other details around? Of course, we got this shrine over here. I think I've already shown that. But this shrine here is just to represent one of the gods, a little place along the road where someone can just kind of sit down and just meditate and just wish upon a midnight star. I don't know, something like that. Little lamps along the roads to light up the way. I thought that adding in little things like this was a good idea. And I think that is about it for the surroundings. Now let's head up to the castle. I apologize for the long episode today, guys, because again, we're doing a showcase, so it's going to be a little bit longer than usual. But I hope that you guys don't mind, as the last few episodes have been rather short. So having a little bit longer episodes, I'm sure, is not too bad. So look at that, guys. We finally have a complete view looking at, as we come into the first courtyard here. I'm going to be doing a little bit more revising now that we are updated to the new mod. By the way, I'm way ahead in episodes compared to where you guys, this, by the time you watch this, is probably a couple months ahead of time. Yeah, a couple months. I probably recorded this a couple months before you've seen it. So just keep that in mind. Maybe not, yeah, a month, a couple months, something like that. So just keep that in mind. Is that's the only way that I can really keep up with my channel currently, with my busy work schedule and such, is I got to work ahead in videos. But in one way or another, let's just continue. So this right here, this is a work in progress. I like this little walkway right there. It's going to connect over to the Lord's residence there. And of course, we come into the main courtyard of Lumiere, very open. I really liked, originally we were making this really cramped in here, and I was like, wait, no, I don't like that. So I decided just to do this little, just having plants in the corners, I thought really works well. This is something that's real. I'm gonna post it in it's right here. Whatever that is, the name of it will be there too. It's some kind of tree, decorative tree that grows flat up against the wall. And it was an idea from one of the viewers on one of the streams. Darth Enigma came up with this idea, and I thought it was a really good idea to add it in. So there it is. We'll get to the feast hall soon enough. And so over here, we got a little place where they can play some chess. I got to revise the interior in here so that the guards don't use this as the main way to get out. I'm going to be making a stairway to get down to here so that they can walk out down this way. By the way, I removed that door because of the whole revision and such, and they walk out this way and then right out, so that way they don't have all that, crazy stuff to get through. So anyways, yeah, that is Lumiere so far. That's what that is. So I don't even know what I was trying to say there. This is the front of the feast hall. I wanted to make it rather decorative as you enter into the feast hall. As you can see, we added a lot of different blocks and things just to make it really stand out and look nice. So that's what we did here. A couple lamps there on the sides, got some pillars on the outside, a little balcony to walk across so that maybe if the enemy does break through to this part, you can imagine this is probably where some crossbowmen would be standing along, and so that they could shoot down on the enemy soldiers as they're storming through here. Or even just a pretty place to walk. This is a nice balcony to overlook the overall courtyard of Lumiere, or even to walk to this side and you can look down and say, oh, hey, look, it's Johnny coming in to say hello. All right, so a little bit of a overhanging, just some plants and vines growing over on top of the wall. We may see some revisions to the wall. I think we'll have some vines growing up the side here, etc. A little bit more greenery, because right now it just kind of it's just like a flat color. Adding in some greenery I think will really make a difference. So this here is the chimney. This is a design inspired by Ithria, one of the builders on Conquest Reforged, a very good conceptual builder, and she gave me that idea to do that, and I thought that was a really good idea. It's made with the wooden buckets on top. And also, of course, the cornice blocks that we have. On this side, as you can see, we got a few dormers. We got 2 on the outside, 2 larger ones in the middle. And then we also have fortifications along here. You'll see what I did for these fortifications is these are actually half slabs right here. Or, I'm sorry, vertical slabs. And you have a full block, vertical slabs, full block. So there's only a vertical block of space in between each of the fortifications. And I think that looks really nice. And then, of course, you have these windows here. Speaking of which, I got to finish this. And actually, there we go. That's all I had to do. So yeah, and little bits of like little statue heads there on the sides. And you have the buttresses going all the way down. And then these windows right here is where the kitchen and pantries and other things of that sort are going to be underneath the Great Hall. We did add a tower on the outside. This is going to be a stair tower to get up to this level right here so that you can get along the front there. And also the top of the chapel is going to be built up to here. So looking forward to getting that done and out of the way. Looking forward to actually doing a lot of this. So I think that is about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. There was a lot to show. I'm sure that there's a lot of things that I could have explained a little bit better if this was separated into 2 episodes, but unfortunately, again, like I said, there's a lot of issues with that, and I apologize. I sincerely apologize. I hope you will find it in your hearts to forgive me and understand just the crap that's been going on. So, but yeah, next episode, we are going to be working on the interior of the feast hall. That also means the kitchen underneath and whatever cellars are underneath that, etc., etc., etc. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope that you will be coming back for the next one, and I really look forward to getting some more done. So yeah, without any further ado, guys, you all have a great day, have a great night, and I will see you on the next episode of Chateau de Lumière. Till then, bye-bye.